Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Barbeno's World. For me, I think Minecraft is a lot about optimization. A lot of my favorite things to do in Minecraft involve spending a lot of time to save myself a little bit more time in the future. And one of the most time-consuming, non-productive activities in Minecraft is just walking around or transporting yourself in various different ways. So, yeah, today I want to try a little bit more to optimize that side of my world. I've already built ice roads, nether portal networks, and a bunch of other stuff to help optimize transportation. But I think what I'm going to try today is going to be a lot cooler and also faster than all of these. And that brings us over here to creative, where I've been experimenting a lot with ender pearl stasis chambers. Basically how these work is I have two machines, one over here and one over there, that are holding ender pearls in stasis. And when I press this button, it immediately triggers the other chamber and it releases the ender pearl and teleports me over there. We've also got the exact same thing going back, which I can even show you in survival mode. If we press this button, we get teleported back to the starting place. And the cool thing about this method of transportation is that it's actually completely instant. So you can teleport yourself all the way across the render distance in like one tick, as long as you're willing to build up these redstone lines going all the way across your world. And what's special about these redstone lines is that they can actually transmit signal instantaneously. Every time the signal runs out, we've got one of these contraptions, which is basically an instant repeater that uses sticky pistons pushing redstone blocks that get zero ticked instead of using repeaters, which cause delay. Just for a quick test, I've set up some redstone lamps connected to each of the instant repeaters, so when I press this button, the lamps should all get turned on at the exact same time because the repeaters are instant. Perfect. I know some people say that this type of instant wire causes a lot of lag, and it kind of does, but it should be fine for just going a few hundred blocks. And I don't think the difference in speed would be noticeable over a rail-based instant wire, for example. Because, yeah, it occurs in one tick, it's just that this thing would cause a little bit more lag, which could slow down that tick. The main thing that I want those stasis chambers for in survival is probably going to be just transporting myself quickly from my base over here all the way to my castle. And I do this flight a lot off camera, probably like a few dozen times every like hour that I play the game. And it's not a long flight, but if I could make this instant, that would be so much better. I play on 16 chunk render distance, so when I'm here at my castle, I don't think very much of my base is going to be loaded. If we check in free cam, yeah, you can see that only this corner is actually in loaded range, so this is the only area that we could teleport to. But if we move out of this main room and out here, I think if we're standing right here, quite a bit more of the base is going to be loaded. Yeah, we could teleport all the way out to here. That seems like a pretty good plan, actually. Alright, let's go ahead and try building this thing over at my castle. So, I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite simple. The most interesting part really is the actual stasis chamber, which is just a bubble column in the ground with a trapdoor up top to activate the ender pearl. Okay, this whole thing is done, and it basically has three components, and they're all pretty simple. The main one is just the stasis chamber with the bubble column. Then there's this timing circuit behind it that activates the trapdoor just for the most convenient amount of time. It's not strictly necessary, but I saw Etho build this in one of his videos, and I thought it would be cool. And also there's this ender pearl refilling station, which takes ender pearls out of this barrel and shoots them to you when you trigger the chamber. So if we press this button, we should get teleported. Nice. Okay, now we just need to build the other side of the link, and I've decided that this is probably the best place for it. If we go any further this way, it'll be out of loaded range, so we can't do that. And the iron farm is kind of in the way, and this is a bit too far from my stuff over there. Alright, this chamber is done, and it also works fine. I tried to cover up the redstone here a little bit with the blackstone. I'll probably also conceal the redstone at the other one as well, but let's give it a quick test. Yeah, that's good. Now comes the hard part. We have this redstone line right here to trigger this one, and we have the other redstone line a few hundred blocks away right here, and we need to trigger them with instant wire. So basically that means we need to dig a 3x3 tunnel, I think, all the way over to the mountain. Okay, here's going to be the start of the tunnel. We've got two redstone lines. One of them is running from this, which is going to be a button that triggers the other one, and this one is running towards this stasis chamber. So I'm pretty sure they need to be one block apart for the instant wire not to trigger each other. Okay, so we got to our first set of instant repeaters, and they seem to be working fine. I can give this one a test just to make sure it teleports us back. Perfect. Yeah, okay, so this pattern is so far going good. I think we need to go down a few more blocks just to make sure we're below the river, and then we can just keep the tunnel going straight. Okay, we've reached a point where unfortunately we've run out of beacon power, and I don't think it's worth it to set up another beacon, but this is just gonna get a lot slower. Alright, as you can see, I have been building this tunnel for quite a while, and I've placed down all of the redstone up to this point, which is about halfway, and I think it's the point that we want to turn at, because right now we're in that desert biome that is just west of our castle, so now we need to turn to face east and dig a few more blocks that way. So let's test what we have so far. Whoops, I did something wrong. I think I should try it one more time. What the heck? That is so weird. What? Somehow this button is staying pressed down. I'm actually extremely confused. It must be because it's really close to being unloaded. This is so weird. Watch, when we walk into this chunk, it'll stop. Maybe the plan is a little bit too long of a teleportation jump. So I have two options here. Either rebuild this station or just start playing on a higher render distance. So I think I'm just going to switch up to using 17 chunks, and then it will work fine. Okay, so continuing on with placing the instant wire, I decided to start the second half of the line at this station up here, just so I can make sure it lines up correctly. And it was quite tricky to fit all of the stuff in, but I managed to. However, I probably will have to do some repairing of the terrain around here, because I destroyed a lot of it. Okay, but now that I've got this far down the mountain, I don't think I'll have any more problems with breaking through the side. I should just be able to go down and dig the tunnel as normal. Okay, I've finally reached the bottom of the mountain, and as you can see, I'm at level 52, which I think is the same level that my other path was at. So if I just keep digging this way, I should hopefully be able to join back up with it. Okay, we've joined up with the other path. Now all that we need to do is kind of expand this pathway, and then I guess we need to put in the instant wire. I finished up connecting the entire system, and I haven't actually tested it yet, so here goes. I should get teleported when I tap this button. Nice, that was great. I'm pretty surprised that it worked first try. Okay, now on the way back. Okay, 1 for 2. Okay, it turns out the issue I was having was just, again, with the render distance. So it works this way, but as you can see, if I turn on chunk borders here, we're kind of near to the edge of a chunk. So if I trigger the button while I'm standing over here, then it'll work fine. And honestly, I don't think that's such a big deal. I can just stand in that corner whenever I want to use it. Yeah, it's still super convenient. That's actually so nice. I'm very happy. Alright, I fixed it up a bit, so now the button on this side is right beside the iron farm, so it's kind of well into this chunk, so you won't accidentally press it from out of the zone. Yeah, it's pretty good, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, so I guess today is just going to be one of those episodes when the main project that I've planned really doesn't take as long as I expect. But that's okay, I guess, because I do actually have a plan for a really cool design for a new project that we're definitely not going to be able to finish this episode. Okay, here's the design. It's actually a rainbow wall that I've built here in Creative. And I'm going to be using this as the surrounding wall for a new area in my survival world. And to fit with the rainbow theme, I'm going to be including a bunch of farms inside of the area. And yeah, the area is going to be for flower farms and all the different farms that produce dyes. Because that's one thing that I always find myself missing. I definitely don't like collecting dyes manually, and even if I do have farms for some of them, it's a pain to collect them all from different places. So I'm hoping that if we can conglomerate everything into one area, it'll be very nice. Yeah, as you can see, I was kind of doing that color-based building thing again for this wall, and it looks super cool. I like that there's all just the random textures, but they all fit together to make a nice like rainbow blend. So here's all of the materials that I need to make one section of it. So one full rainbow, which I think is going to be 1/4 of the wall, so one side of the area. And I thought it was going to be pretty bad, but I don't think it should be too painful to collect all of these resources. The most rare are probably the lapis, the mushroom, and the purpur. But it shouldn't be a problem just to get 2 stacks of each of them. And then obviously the black stone, which we can farm. Yep, I thought I had some spare black stone, but I guess it turns out I don't. So I'm just gonna have to go back to trading. Okay, I've spared you most of the resource collection by doing it off camera. But we're all done with all of the resources, I think. I've actually crafted everything up perfectly, so I shouldn't need to do any crafting. Or, yeah, it should just be super simple. I've got the entire rainbow here going from red, orange, yellow, green, different blues, and then purple, and then back to red. Now, all we have to do is find a place to build this. Since I said I wanted to use it for some dye farms, I need to put it in a flower forest biome. And I found that the closest one that was big enough is out this way a few blocks. Okay, this ought to be the place. I think it's actually pretty good. Oh. Yeah, this is a very large flower forest biome. And it's reasonably flat, so it should be good. Oh yeah, I remember being here before. We've got a really glitchy desert village over here. Like, there's a bunch of grass on dirt and, like, floating grass. Bunch of weird stuff, floating structures everywhere. I don't actually know if we're going to be able to start building today because this place definitely needs a lot of work. I basically want to remove this entire flower forest here in at least a big enough area that stretches out in that direction for me to build my farm area. I just want it to be completely flat so building is easier. Okay, I've loaded in the schematic so you can see kind of how big it's going to be. And I'm not really sure what I'm getting into, so let's just roll the time lapse of me cleaning up the area. Okay, welcome back everybody, and the entire area is now cleared. I know it doesn't really look like much, but it did actually take a lot of time to convert this entire thing, especially considering this area used to be completely covered in flower forest and river, and it was also hilly, so yeah, I had to dig a lot of dirt and cover a lot of river to flatten this out. But I definitely think it's going to be worth it because I always like having a big flat area to work with when I'm doing a new project because it's almost like I'm in creative and it's just easier to build. This took a really long time though, so I think I'm going to have to call the episode here. But before I go, I just want to give you a quick sneak peek of the walls that I want to build around it in schematic form. Here is what they're going to look like. I've laid out 4 of the schematics all around the area, and yeah, it's going to look super good. I'm super excited to build this in the next episode. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.